Item B, recognize and hear from any visitors. Do you have any signed in?
No.
Okay. Item C, review our treasurer's report.
Okay, so I kind of spent some time with Caleb today and figured out the best way to kind of have this conversation. On the bottom part, so the top part versus last month, the bottom part's this month. Last month we ended with a total amount balance in our main checking, savings, our investment account, $9.1 million at the end of January. In the month of February, we took in $928,000 in our main checking account, which that's going to be general fund building fund, right? So that's our operational fund budget and savings, whopping $1.94. Bond funds, $831, and then in our investment account, $19,888, which that's just interest drawn from our invested money. So we brought in $949,147.09. Paid out $1.2 million. So of course, money out was a little bit more than money in, which is normal. We have our big months of January and some in December, January, and then April. Those are our big months that kind of balance all that out. We end this month with $1.8 million in our general and building fund, $1,700 and a little less than $1,700 in savings, $720,000 in our bond fund, and then our OLAP. So our investment account is a little over $6.2 million, with a total kind of money on hand of $8.851 million. So you can see right there on the right of that, as compared to last year, it's a little bit less in our main checking, but if you'll drop down there and look at our OLAP account, we're up quite a bit in our OLAP account. So it kind of is just, some of that's balanced out, but total money on hand, we're ahead of where we were last year by about $1.2 million. I still think that number is, although it looks exciting, I still think that it's not going to be exciting when we get to the end of the year.
Don't set it all in the same place.
Yes, and not going to all of our heads. So that's where we are. I think we're hoping to say we spent a lot of time talking about with me, with Raphael, with Atkins, with our leadership team, with our admin team, just looking at personnel issues, looking at how can we spend money more effectively, how can we do things smarter and better, get more bang for our buck. Spent a lot of time doing that, and come up with better plans on how to do stuff.
Or anyone else?
Supporting documentation for that, of course, is in the next several pages.
Pretty good. All right. Item D, our assistant superintendent's report, professional development, federal programs, Houston learning.
Don't have a lot to share right now. I can tell you that we will get started on next year's professional development right after spring break. This is Noble and I planned to approach professional development a lot like we did this year, which was very personalized to buildings. So going to each principal, asking them what they feel like their people would like training on, and then finding that for them. If we can't find it, then we'll create it ourselves. We got a lot of really positive feedback from that last year. Of course, we have some things that we have to do. Everyone has to do them together, and that's fine. We'll knock those off quickly. But for the majority of their time for professional development, it's important to us that that's meaningful to the buildings. So we'll be relying a lot on our principals to tell us what it is that they like. And then, like I said, we'll either go find that, or if we can't find it, we will make it ourselves. And that went really well last year. There will be professional development, of course, on our new ELA curriculum, which we will be making a final decision this coming Friday. So ELA teachers, which there are a lot of them, because that's every teacher at the lower elementary, over half the teachers at the upper, and then of course all your middle school, high school ELA teachers will participate in that professional development. We're hoping to do that like we did last summer as well, because we got a lot of positive feedback about that as well, that people can start in the summer if they want to. They get a jump on it if they choose to. If they don't, they get started when we come back to school. So they kind of have the option, and we have people take advantage of both kind of paths. Some people like to be ready to go when school starts. Some people really protect their summer, and both those things are fine. So want to give them options for that as well. So that'll be going. We do have our final math professional development for middle school on Friday. So that'll be the last official presentation from the company that we adopted from. So that's on Friday. Federal programs, good news is we're getting money for federal programs. It keeps coming in, so that's the good news. We just keep making our claims, and all of that is coming in even a little more quickly than we were expecting. Not as quick as it used to be, but not as long as it was last year. So we're happy about that. As far as teaching and learning, our big focus right now is we are down to like decision time for ELA curriculum. Our teachers, I'm so proud of them. They have spent a lot of time, and Mrs. Noble has done a phenomenal job getting numerous presentations planned for them. So they had kind of a basic presentation of all the curriculums that they wanted to see. They asked for more. She set that up. She got presenters to come back on campus, which is kind of hard sometimes to get them to actually come to you. They like to do those things virtually, but we wanted them here. And she did a great job of getting that set up. So we've had good participation in that. They've been having a lot of really good discussions amongst the ELA teachers. And everybody's kind of headed a similar direction, which that's really good news for us. So we'll be hammering that out on Friday as far as choosing a company. Then the next step for us is to look at our budget, see what parts of that we can afford, what parts they want, kind of get our order list together. And our hope, our goal, would be that they at least have something in their hand before they go home for the summer. I think that will go better for ELA than it did for math, because this is not an official adoption year for ELA. So the curriculum should be in stock. It should be ready to ship. That's what they tell us. So we'll see how that actually works out once we put our order in it. And that's the biggest thing right now for teaching and learning, along with we are in the middle of planning summer school. So that's the next thing too.
Item E is Title IX compliance report.
Nothing to report in the world of Title IX, which is great news. We did have a training about 2 weeks ago with Brandon Carey. That was the most recent. We hadn't had one for a while. Same thing. Just kind of, right now we're just doing what we do with the old regulations, and he does not foresee that there will be a change anytime soon.
Item F, superintendent's report.
So we met with the bond committee this past sometime, a couple weeks ago. Did a walking tour kind of through campus, looked at all of our sites, looked at all of our kind of the pieces that have been brought to our attention that people are kind of interested in looking to update. Kind of traveled around, looked at all of that. We met with, sat down with Mr. Ho, because a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about has to do with the high school. So sat down with him, kind of get his take on some of these things. And of course, everybody kind of sees the same things, and so there were a lot of stuff. He agreed with kind of everything that we talked about as far as what needs to go on at the high school. So had some other good ideas, just kind of in our little walking tour. Got some other ideas. I've communicated that with our architect, been in communication with them. We'll talk a little bit more about these construction manager ideas here in a little bit. But that's kind of slowly moving forward. So I think our next piece will be kind of trying to put together some solid preliminary budget numbers, so we can really look at what we can afford to do with the whole project.
Questions on that board? All right, let's move up. Section 3 is our consent agenda. As a reminder, these items may be approved by one board motion unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. Included in the consent agenda is item A, discussion and consideration for the approval of the following minutes for the following OTPS Board of Education meetings, regular meeting on February 10th and then the special meeting on February 10th. Item B, discussion and consideration for approval of the following warrants and encumbrances. General fund encumbrances 379-404. General fund warrants 2332-2770. Building fund encumbrances 84-86. Building fund warrants 279-288. And capital improvement encumbrances fund 35-2. Item C, discussion and consideration for the approval of financial reports, which includes general fund, building bond funds, and activity funds. Item D, discussion and consideration for approval of the following activity fund transfers, 86 to 96. Item E, discussion and consideration for the approval of the following out-of-state or overnight field trip requests. Oologah High School and Oologah Middle School Robotics to the state championship in Muskogee, Oklahoma, March 13th to 14th of 2025. Oologah High School and Oologah Middle School TSA to state conference in Norman, Oklahoma, April 8th through 11th, 2025. Oologah High School Speech and Debate State Competition in Bethany, Oklahoma, April 9th through 12th of 2025. Oologah High School Varsity Volleyball Team Camp in Branson, Missouri, July 7th through the 11th of 2025. Oologah High School Girls Wrestling to Regional Wrestling at J, Oklahoma, February 16th and 17th of 2025. Is there any item that a board member would like to vote on separately?
I'd like to point out the wrestling piece right there at the end. That was right after our last board meeting. It was, if I remember correctly, it was kind of mixed in with all those snow days. And they ended up pushing, the way that they pushed the timing of that, they were going to have to be there late and then be back early the next morning. They decided to spend the night. That's why we're just now approving it now. It's just a bad timing issue.
Will entertain a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve consent agenda items A through E.
Second.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, vote please.
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
The consent agenda has been approved. To section 4, which is the administrative. Item A, recommendation, consideration, and action on approving updates to the Oologah-Talala Public School Gifted and Talented Education Plan for 2024-2025 school year.
So we'll speak to this.
So our gifted and talented committee has been working on how we can better identify students in the leadership ability category and the visual performing arts category at the secondary level. There wasn't really any language in our plan about it, not really a good process for it, and so that was an area where we found we could identify more students so that we could increase those monies and trying to put more money back into the classroom for those students. So you'll just see on page 4, we've just added some language on how we're going to identify those students. And
I don't think I included this.
oh, sorry.
She said it and
It's in the back.
it's not in order.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my bad.
It's right after the ration comes. Right after the PC.
After this,
Yeah.
page 4.
On C and D, that's the language that we've added for visual performing arts and leadership ability. It's a category 2 placement. There is a cap on the amount of students we can place in category 2, but after looking at our numbers, we probably have about 40-ish students that we could identify and get funding for that we're not currently right now. So that was the purpose of this. We created rubrics. Our committee worked on these rubrics and really talked about how to make them meaningful. You'll see there's one for performing arts, and then there is one for the leadership ability. We tried to really think about how can we identify students in choir, band, drama, speech debate, all of those visual performing arts electives that we have. Got some input from those teachers. And so these will go out to teachers in those areas. So it wouldn't be something that we would ask for recommendations from every teacher at the secondary level. But obviously our teachers for leadership ability, teachers like Mrs. Smith in the ag program, Ms. Conley who leads the leadership team, those teachers who really have students that are showing up in those leadership roles. We're going to ask them if they would have any students that they would say are gifted in that ability. And so send out the rubrics. We'll do that in the spring. And then identify those students in the spring. And then when our October 1 count comes in the fall, they'll be included in that. The rubrics should be in there after the plan. If you just flip it a few more pages, you'll see that.
Entertain action on item A.
Make a motion to approve the updates to the gifted and talented education plan for the 24-25 school year.
Second motion. Further discussion or questions? Hearing none, vote please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Item A is approved. Item B, recommendation, consideration, and action on approving updates to the Oologah-Talala Public School calendar for the 2024-2025 school year. Let it snow. Let it snow. No more snow.
Okay, so snow day makeup plan calendar rather decided. So since we're actually changing days, when we put in a snow day, and it just says snow day on the calendar, and then we have a snow day, and that becomes a snow day, that doesn't require board action because it's put in that way. Since we're changing from a virtual day, professional day to an actual work day, then it requires board action. So if you look there on the left side where snow day makeup plan, those are the days that we were out and then how we're making them up as reflected on the calendar over here. So the calendar on the right is the one that we sent out to everybody and then we kind of, that's our plan to make up those days. So we'll have May 16th was listed as a snow day. That was an easy one. To make up the February 19th, March 14th was a collaboration day. It's now a distance learning day. February 20th, snow day. April 18th was listed as Good Friday. It's now going to be a distance learning day. And then for the February 21st day, that was parent teacher conference. That stayed as parent teacher conference. So, which is how we do our parent teacher conferences. Everybody has to log 6 hours during that 2-week span. That counts as a parent teacher conference.
Just to clarify, legislature took snow days away except in cases like, not snow days, virtual days away except for in cases like this. They do give you language
As of now, yes.
to do that. Okay.
That may change.
Yeah, but for now, we're currently under.
Yes.
We're currently under
Yes.
the law, so. Okay. I would entertain action on item B.
Move to approve item B. Updates to the Oologah-TPS school calendar 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
Further discussion?
Okay, so the March the 14th day will now be a distance learning?
Yes.
Okay, it's turned in, okay.
Yes,
Okay,
from collaboration day.
that's right, okay. And the same as it?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, vote please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Item B is approved. Item C, recommendation, consideration, and action on approving the selection of a construction management group to assist in the development of all items related to the upcoming bond issue.
I want to say something. Brady talked to this. We're not approving a contract with a construction management group. If and when our bond issue passes, at that point, we will make a selection. As this is, basically, we're bringing them on and we'll have a discussion with them. Kind of our architect is kind of the same way, right? We haven't hired him officially. He's just assisting in the preparation of all things. All things to prepare us for the bond issue. So again, we're not approving a contract, we're not out any money. This is basically trying to bring them on as a consultant to work with our architect to get ready for the bond issue. Okay, Brady, you want to talk about these 4 groups?
Yeah. Which all 4 of those, we've got Stout, which has previously done work for us here before, Key Construction, and they're the ones that did our gym locker room remodel, and we had to update that a couple years ago. And then Rico is a new group. We kind of started work with them, some little projects for us. They're local out of Tulsa. And then the last one there was DC Bath. All 4 of them, again, there was a relationship with all of them. We kind of I've sat down with all of them. Called references. Dr. Wilkins calls some of the references. So I think they're all capable. I think DC Bass is the only one I think that's worked with the architect here recently. He did I think middle school and high school remodel in Hominy here a couple years ago. So, but they've all gave some packets there to kind of look through, got pictures of who they've worked with. But like Dr. Wilkins said too, the biggest thing about a construction manager help is like Scott said with Trier, especially the budgeting. They know what materials cost and things like that. They'll be able to kind of assist him to get us some really good numbers when we get to that point.
Called Vic. So we checked out everybody that we could. Of course, Stout has done work for us. Rico has done work for us. Some small projects.
Yeah.
They were really good. Key, I don't think Key hasn't done any construction because I've worked with them in the past. I don't think they've done work here.
He's the one that did our gym.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, so Key has done work for us and he did a good job. We kind of vetted through
And I personally met with all of them, so I can answer any questions you might have.
I called and talked to Berry Hill Superintendent this morning about Bass. They had done about a $15 million project remodel with them. He was real impressed with how they handled navigating around athletic events, navigating around dismissal times and elementary kids in the hallways and all that. He said that they were
And kind of interesting about them too, Dr. Wilkins and I were talking this morning, going through all these, is, they've recently done an auditorium remodel, they've done building remodel, they've done roofing, kind of a lot of things. And they are, I would say all of these are smaller. Key's bigger, but the other three are kind of smaller. But Bass, if you look through all the schools they work with, they kind of land in that 4A, 3A, 2A project areas. And I personally talked to Charlie Womack. He's the director of the OSPMA, which is the organization for operations in Oklahoma that I'm a part of. And he was at Bristow for 20, 30 years, and he had personally worked with DC Bass on 4 different projects, and he was very impressed with them as well. So, Rico, I talked to Tulsa Union. They do a lot of work for Tulsa Union. They've done some $3-4 million remodels projects with them as well. So.
Anybody have any questions about any other?
So you guys, architect recommended Bass, ready to...
Yes, I did talk to Scott about DC Bass, and I think it was 2022 that he had worked with them at Hominy, and he said he was very impressed with them and happy to work with them again if that's what we choose.
So just to clarify, we're not hiring these guys to, they're helping us put together pricing.
Yes.
That would be very beneficial when it comes to delving out the money we have for
Exactly, to get as close as possible.
Because the rest of us are just guessing. I think air conditioning might cost, but these guys will actually make the phone call.
Yes. They'll know, whether it's building materials, HVAC units, flooring. They're gonna know what the comps are out there, because they'll be have done projects or be doing projects at the time. So.
Probably Oklahoma State people take cabins for baseball.
I know, yeah. I saw that too.
This might be a little, so the Key, did they deliver this to you or send this, or did you print it?
It was an email and I printed it and then made copies of it.
And the rest of it were delivered with us?
Yes.
Because it's less than professional, I would put it that way. For me.
Which is kind of our concern with Key. They're a big company that I feel like that we would be like another account for them.
Well, for me, just the little extra effort put into it.
Yeah.
$20 million.
There's a principle of the right size contractor for the right size job. we think 25 million bond issue, of course, all that would be construction, whatever, some of that's transportation, but that's a lot of money to us. But if they're doing work for Broken Arrow and Union, that's,
Well, when they're in
10,000.
they're in Wichita, they're in Dallas. I mean, they're definitely larger companies.
And would, to me, would do a good job.
Yeah.
What if any advantages do you foresee in working with one of the groups that has worked for us in the past, as far as, are they still people who may know a lot about our history and work that particular project and things like that? Are there advantages to having that type of previous experience here on site?
So let me answer that in mind. So the RICO has done some small projects for us, like special ed room remodel and just some little stuff. Stout has done some work for us, but the amount of work and it's most of the things that we see are centered around high school, which hasn't really been touched in so long that I don't know if there's any advantage to having, like, I think Stout's the one that's done a lot of work for us. I just don't, because of the scope of the work, I just don't know if there's any advantage. Because it's not stuff that they've touched before.
Did we have issues with Stout, some of the stuff they did though? Around the baseball, didn't they do the baseball field there? I thought we had drainage issues and concessions.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't know. So Stout's the one that did the work. We're not really sure who the person was that didn't do it right. They were somewhere in the chain.
But I mean,
What did they do to reconcile it would be my question. If there's an issue, how hard did they work to, hey, we want to make this right, whether it's our fault or not?
Well, we paid him $30,000 to come back and fix it.
So,
Yeah. I mean, they fixed it. Once they fixed it,
yeah, but
right,
I
but I mean, then they come back and redo it.
And I specifically asked, not that specific question, but how do you handle working with tough contractors, getting in, RICO and DC Bass, they had very good recommendations on, hey, like, I don't care if it's the engineer's fault or it's our fault, like, what are we gonna do to fix it? Both of them said that. And people I talked to that they worked with, that was kind of the big thing with those two. That Charlie especially said that.
Yeah, was it DC Bass the one that they said that there was something that, like, the blueprints were given to them and they were working their way through it and they're like, this isn't right.
Well, I think the burial superintendent this morning talked about that, how there was.
Like, we don't want our name on this.
Yeah.
And so they, you know what I'm saying? So they went back and like, hey, wait, this doesn't look right. What needs to be done here? Which is what I wish these guys.
which is what we would
should
have
have
done.
done. Yes. Like, wait, but this doesn't look right. As opposed to just, well, so it says on the things, it's what we're going to do.
Correct.
Which we want someone that sees something and says, hey, like, that's not right, I need to.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Fix
That's
that.
why I'm not personally for Stout after that. I mean, it cost us $30,000 more to come back and fix something that they should have been receiving.
Any other questions?
Our recommendation is DC Bass and Sons, if we can do it a couple of different ways, if we want to bring them on, like, as kind of right now, as kind of the consultant group, we can push this off and have them come in and speak and do a presentation to the board. We can handle it Peter Lawrence. I feel like that RICO and DC Bass are kind of, I mean, we kind of went back and forth on them just in our discussions. The thing that kind of pushed for DC Bass kind of at the end was that they worked with our architect recently, the Berry Hill superintendent spoke very highly of them. And like their projects, I feel like they've done some like $15, $17 million projects, as opposed to RICO's more kind of in that $5 to $7 million range. And so there's just, so that, I don't know. Again, they were pretty equal until we really kind of started digging into it, and that was kind of the difference. I think they both did a great job. I feel like DC's got a little better.
And we're going to have disruptions, obviously, when this is going on, so that Berry Hill superintendent did stress that hey, they were great, to know what, like, sporting events, what were going on, programs, whatever was going on, they were making sure that everything was safe and everything. So.
Thank you
Thanks, Randy.
You're welcome.
Entertain action on item C.
But on that, are we selecting a group out here, because it doesn't say here?
So,
So this is basically, we're making a selection of construction. Are we saying DC Bass or Stout, or?
so that would be in the recommendation. I mean, we can have further discussion if we even want to.
Dr. Carson, he just was the position.
How do you agree on which one we want?
That's what discussion is for. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the construction of DC Bass to assist the development of all items related to the upcoming bond issue.
Second.
what's their discussion?
So we're just hiring them as part of building the bond and that's
So we're hiring, we use the word bringing them on as a consultant. Because there's no money exchanged until we pass the bond issue. And then at that point, we would sign a contract with them. Same thing with our architect.
but we owe them nothing until God passes.
No, right, if the bond doesn't pass,
It's a risk on them.
Risk on them. And then when the bond does pass, do we owe them for the consulting up until that point?
then we will hire them for the construction management piece.
GC
That's how they-
and all that.
Yeah, that's how they get paid.
GCN and all that, general contractor and all that.
Same thing with the architect. Again, so the architect's going to do a bunch of work between now and October, November, whenever that is.
And it gives him a real-time individual to say, hey, we're putting in all these new seats. I've got 13 new seats. Can you bring me options? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It gives him a person that's daily into construction. And Scott's very connected to that, but it gives him a guy that's dealing with plumbers, electricians. They will come walk through when they, when they put their bid sheets and look together. So,
These are the people we met, Bass is the people we met the day we had to walk through.
Yeah, they were here. Yeah, that's the day I met with them, yeah.
yeah, that's right. You and I.
Yeah.
When we came back.
Yeah, they were sitting up there when we came back, yeah.
I think for Bass, the guy that would manage our project lives in Collinswood, or would be.
Yeah, he said the superintendent that would be, he's very close by here. I think it's Claremore, actually. It's either Claremore or Collinsville, but, and you get real, they're the oldest, I think the oldest construction company in Oklahoma. But yeah, the superintendent, he said that, I mean, he's 25, 30 years experience, and so, I mean, they're very experienced in construction, especially with school districts.
Any other discussion? All right, vote please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Item C is approved. DC Bass Construction. Item D, recommendation, consideration, and action on approving the following Oologah-Talala Public School Board of Education policy, EKBA Strong Readers Act.
So you can see the changes on here. This change was made a couple of months ago, just not getting the policy here. Really, it's the Reading Sufficiency Act that has now changed to the Strong Readers Act. I don't have anything substantial changed.
The biggest change is there's not the automatic retention of third grade students who don't pass their test. Under Reading Sufficiency Act, with the exception of a small group of kids, if they didn't show proficiency on the third grade reading test, they were retained. Well, that's no longer, which is good. And it also has redefined a little bit the amount of and type of intervention has to be provided to students based on where they're scoring. But it gives districts a little bit more power to make decisions for students, rather than having to say, well, you didn't meet this score, so here's the only option that you have.
What prompted the change in the policies? Did policies change at the state level?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're just really modifying our policy to adapt what the state has handed down.
Yes, and we've been following the provisions of this all year long, and it's been a little bit of a learning process. It changed some reporting guidelines, it changed some timelines, but we've been compliant all year. We've had to change a little bit of the way that we do things, but again, I think that the changes keep parents more informed, but parents are more a part of the process now than they were before, so that's good.
Entertain action on item D.
Make a
discussion? Vote please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Item D is approved. Item E is recommendation, consideration, and action on approving a contract with Barlow Education Management Services for federal programs management for the 2025-2026 school year.
So Barlow Management, we've used them for several years. We tried to not use them for part of 1 year, and then we brought them on later. They do, as of right now, they do a really good job of just helping us stay compliant with all of our federal programs. There's a fee for them, but we get quite a bit of money, and it's really heavily audited. So it's just good to have someone that's been doing this for 100 years to help us out. Makes Kim's life easier.
All right, entertain action on item E.
I move that we approve the contract with Barlow Education Management Services for federal programs management for the 25-26 school year.
Second.
Discussion? Vote please.
Yes.
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 Item E is approved. Item F, recommendation, consideration, and action on approving the 2024-2025 audit contract and engagement letter with Bledsoe, Hewitt, and Goldston.
This was on our agenda last month when they did the presentation. We didn't have all the information in from them, so it's on here now. We do have the audit contract and the engagement letter. We got that from them a couple weeks ago. Same auditors that we've used for a while. They do a good job of assisting Caitlin and help us out when we have questions, and then making sure we stay compliant.
Action on item F.
Make a motion to approve the 24-25 audit contract with engagement letter with Bledsoe, Hewitt, and Goldston.
Second motion.
Discussion? Hearing none, vote please.
Yes.
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 F is approved. Item G, recommendation, consideration, action on approving special meeting dates that are listed in attachment A.
Okay, so I'm going to address G, H, and I all in one conversation. You should have some attachments here on your desk. I don't think that they were in the book. These came in a little bit late from our attorney. Somewhere between our office and the county clerk's office, the meeting dates that were approved in October never, either they got filed or they were filed and misplaced or whatever, right? I contacted them a couple weeks ago and asked for a stamped copy of that, and they're like, oh, we can't find that anywhere. I contacted our attorney, and he said, it happens, it's happened several times across the state, even with some bigger agencies, and so he basically put us on the right track by what to reapprove all of our meeting dates as special meetings. So from now on, all of our meetings will be special meetings, which doesn't really change anything other than keep it legal. And then we have to ratify all of our action items from January and February, just to make sure that we are on the positive side of legal.
So Kendra doesn't have to go to jail.
So that way, we don't have this happen.
So if we don't do anything,
I will submit my letter. So that this gets us all caught up and back to, and I'll be honest, I don't know what happened. I distinctly remember taking them over there. Can't remember me taking them over there when we requested that they get them. Listen, I have a little touch of ADD, and I may have ended up in like Collinsville at the road trip or something.
my feet counts, I literally take videos of myself closing gates. Because at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, closing gate. No, just kidding. Gotta turn the water on. Because I would be the one that would get blamed for not closing some gates.
So item G are the meeting dates, just reapproving our meeting dates. These have already been filed, and we have an email confirmation and stamped to make sure that on that. And then item H is approving all of the January stuff. Item I is approving all the February stuff.
We can just do it as read
You can do it as
here,
read.
just you're approving.
Just approving items on attachment A and then attachment B.
So I don't have to reread.
You don't have to reread it. Double check.
Nobody's signing up for that.
Double check with our attorney to make sure.
I would entertain action on item G.
So we do them one at a time?
Yes, yeah, it's 3 different votes. but
Okay,
it's
move to approve special meeting dates listed on attachment A.
Second.
Discussion? Vote please.
Yes.
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 Item G is approved. Item H, recommendation, consideration, and action on approving items listed on attachment B under the heading January 13, 2025 regular board meeting agenda.
Make a motion to approve items listed on attachment B under the heading January 13, 2025 regular board meeting agenda. Sorry, attachment B under the heading February 10th, 2025 regular
January 13th. Yeah, there's 2 of them that are just on the same attachment, so you're good.
Okay, I said one, right?
Yep.
Okay, we'll be-
January 13th. So is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Vote please.
Yes.
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 Item H is approved. Item I is recommendation, consideration, and action on approving items listed on attachment B under the heading February 10th, 2025 regular board meeting agenda.
I have a question on that. On that meeting, did we not approve in the minutes, we approved the resignation of Crystal Lynch, and she's back on this minute, she's on the agenda for this meeting also. Is there a reason? I think she's on this meeting.
She is.
Okay, she is, she's out.
Yeah, that may have just been that I received her resignation letter twice. I think I filed in 2 different places. But there's no big reasons. Did we already agree that?
Yes, we did in that meeting. I think I remember. I mean,
If we did, so what I'll do when I get those in is I put them in my like March folder, February folder. I probably just got 2 copies of it. They're in the wrong folder.
So we'll just take it off this week.
It's on 1, 2, the 3rd page of the minutes. Under personnel. So 1, 2.
Yes, she was listed last time.
Okay.
So we don't do any other, we'll do any this is big action on that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Is there action on item I?
Move
Wait,
it.
where am I? I'm just going to vote. I'm in discussion. But I'm in discussion. right?
No, we're good. I asked you for a motion today.
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay.
Move to approve item I, items listed under attachment B, listed on attachment B under the heading February 10th, 2025 regular board meeting.
Discussion? Vote please.
Yes.
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 We're all just staring at you.
Item I is approved. Item J, recommendation, consideration, action on approving the name of the meeting room located in the northwest corner of the administration building. It's the Don Tice Executive Conference Room.
So, as we all know, today is Mr. Tyson's final board meeting, which we're sad about. I'm trying to do a few things at once. It's not working out for me.
That's why Dr. Wilkins does not teach.
Where is it? Oh, there it is. So this is several different purposes. One is we have a need for a good conference room in this building and a good meeting area. And then secondly, just to honor Mr. Tice and his 30 years of service. We've kind of done a little remodel in our little meeting room. And so we have aptly, hopefully, if everything goes well in this meeting, name that the Don Tice Executive Conference Room. Otherwise, we're going to go in there and change that.
Just the Executive Conference Room.
You got a little different.
Yeah.
So, a couple of pictures So there's the one view. We have some pictures over there on the wall of some East Campus, the elementary, that it looks exactly the same. Which is why we did 60 years ago. High school, and then we have some aerial shots. Most recently, we did have our architect, when he was out with his drone, he got us a pretty good picture of kind of that same view from where it is over there. He was in a drone, the others were in airplanes. You can tell it's not quite as high, but whatever. It's better color quality. So we got some pictures in there. Someone made an amazing conference table. I'm not sure what they did.
A very amazing heavy conference table.
I'm dropping it.
And Archie helped make the conference table on time.
So yeah, so we do have, so that is a touch panel. That's actually one of the TVs there at the end that we're considering for the classrooms, a big touch panel built in computer needs. And then we'll be there. Ms. Atkins donated the puck and even hook it up. I don't know what you guys
She very tough to step on the step ladder to do that?
And then we did have the cabinets down there at the end repainted, and then a nice rug. So that is recommendations that we name that, which I know that we don't name buildings around here, which I fully agree with. But I feel like my recommendation, I feel like that Mr. Tice has served this district well for a very long time, and I think a way to honor his years of service. My recommendation that we make is Don Tice, Executive Conference Room, which I did consult our architect to make sure that was the proper way to name the conference room. He said yes.
We entertain action on item J.
Move to approve the naming of the meeting room located in the northwest corner of the administration building, the Don Tice Executive Conference Room.
Second.
Discussion? Vote, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, very good.
Yes.
Yes. I was wanting to prove it himself.
I know, I was like,
Can't prove it himself.
I did some very rough estimating. These are not exact numbers, but in Don's time, he's seen over 3,000 students graduate. He's helped administer over $300 million. Don, you've not only been a service to our community, but he's also been a service to our entire state of Oklahoma with his service on the board of directors for the OSSBA. And Don, your wisdom, your knowledge, and experience will be missed, but is also going to impact the school district and this community for years to come. So my appreciation is not only to you, but to your family. Don is a constant, whether it's baseball, softball, basketball, swimming. It doesn't matter the sport of the season. Don has been there, and from the bottom of my heart. And I want to speak for the half the people that have the privilege to do it. Thank you. Just thank you for your years and your service to this school district. We are better because of Don Tice, and I hope that legacy continues as we make those decisions in the executive room. So,
Thank you very much. Thank all of you. It's difficult for me to believe that it's been all this period of time and everything like that. And like most of you all, I'm sure when you were growing up in school, when they told you to write, this report about what you want to be when you grow up, school board member just don't make my list. But after all these years, I can look back and say that I'm extremely, extremely blessed to have been involved and to be here at Oologah in this community, working with the group here. It's given me great pleasure to represent Oologah all across the United States as I've served as director, Western Regional, and to the national committees, and with OSSBA throughout the state and things, and being able to bring all the board of directors and their families in here in the year I was president, so forth, of OSSBA, and letting them see all this and tour it and experience Oologah. I was telling Dr. Wilkins earlier about how the group, we had 2 busloads of individuals, and they toured downtown Oologah. I mean, we went downtown, and the families, and they came, and later on, they came to the school and toured the school, and they were just blown away with everything here and stuff. And afterwards, I had so many of them come up to me and say, now, that historical site down there was really interesting stuff. Now, where's the town? Why don't you take us to the town? It was just something they could not believe. A school like this, that there was not a town that was large and supportive, full of businesses and things of that nature. But again, I'm very humbled by this honor, and I appreciate it very much. And I wish the best for Oologah going forward. I know it is a community that is very resilient. We've been through some difficult times. Coming up here the night of the tornado and walking through it with the superintendent and things and stuff, and thinking, and us trying to decide, what do we do? Where do we go from here? And yet, within just hours, volunteers from everywhere were available to help start putting things back together to make it where we could get underway to put the community actually back together and be part of it. But anyway, I've been so blessed to be in part of it, and I never dreamed I was going to be a school board member, but some people talked me into it. And then the OSSBA Board of Directors, I didn't know that I was doing that necessarily, but I had some people talking, and I said something, speaking once about it, and said, it's not anything I did, but, and I said, I was just thinking about it, and Dr. Ballard was there. He came up after me, and he was like, I said, Dr. Ballard was one of the ones that suggested that I look at being a member of OSSBA. He spoke afterward, and he came up there and he spoke. He said, Tice, I didn't suggest you run for board of directors. I told you to run for director of School Board Association, and so that's why you're there, and you know that. So anyway, it's been very fulfilling, honoring to just have the opportunity to promote Oologah like we've had, and to see the various accomplishments of the Oologah students over the year, and the staff accomplishments and faculty in so many ways, and just the community within itself. And so I wish Oologah-Talala's schools the very best going forward, and it will always be a special time for me to having spent all this time here on Monday nights, every month. So anyway, it's been a pleasure, and thank you all very much for it. And I hope that there are continuous numbers of great decisions made.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well said, Mr. Tyler. Before we go to executive session, before we leave, let's take a picture. Do you have the plaque?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, let's move to section 5, personnel. Item A is a proposed executive session to discuss resignation, hiring of personnel, and or duty assignment pursuant to 25 OS section 307B1 and 7 of the open meeting law. Items to be discussed are resignations, in this case, Chabelle, Crystal Lynch, Cole Shears, and Randy Alberts. Rehiring for the 2025-2026 school year, Principal Kevin Hope, Heather Dixon, David Morrissey. Page 2, please hold. Assistant Principal Scott Doss, Amber Fitzgerald, Kylie Easterwood, and Ashley Radcliffe. Transportation, Lyndon Jennings. Technology, Dan McGuire, Matt Murray. Child Nutrition, Monica Wells, Amy Sparks, Virginia Clark, Sue Ann Campbell. And appointing an interim principal for Oologah Elementary for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year. Entertain a motion for executive session.
Move to convene executive session.
Second.
Vote, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
We are in executive session. Under personnel, item B has been done. Item C, acknowledge the board has returned to open session. While we were in executive session, Lyle Blakely, Lawrence Stauffer, Don Tice, Joe Coster, Brent Kellogg were joined by Dr. David Wilkins and Kendra Atkins. There were no votes taken and there were no decisions that were made in executive session. Item E, vote to accept or not accept submitted resignations as listed below. Cole Brashears and Brady Alpra, a retirement maintenance supervisor effective April 30th, 2025, and Brady Albert, member elementary teacher effective May 22nd of 2025.
So Brandy Albert, we had actually, she was on a sabbatical for a year. She had requested last month to come back, and then she decided not to come back, so I said, well, we need an official resignation, so she's officially retiring. Of course, Crystal Lynch was our take care of. Cole is very excited about retiring. I tried to talk him out of it, and he's like, nah, because he got stuff to do. He's like, I got 8 grandkids. Anyway, that's it.
So it's only the bottom two for
Yes, sir.
I would entertain a motion. Yeah, on item. Sorry, I thought it said that. There you go. That's all right.
I'm in my first word.
I'm saying, you don't wait on that motion. Do you make it or move it, Lyle? Which one? You move it.
I move that we accept this year.
Sorry, Cole, you have to come back.
Yeah, actually, if we don't.
Cole Brashears, retirement maintenance supervisor effective April 30th, 2025. Brandy Albert, upper elementary teacher effective May 22nd, 2025.
Second.
Vote please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Item E is approved. Item F, vote to accept or not accept resignation agreement with Keisha Bell and accept or not accept Keisha Bell's resignation. I would entertain a motion on that. That was a second.
Move
They
to
don't say
accept-
they have to say that. So. Go ahead, Lyle.
move to accept the resignation agreement with Keisha Bell and accept Keisha Bell's resignation.
Second.
Vote please.
Yes.
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 Item F is approved. Item G is a statement from the board president that if any board member wishes to vote on an individual item separately from the list of items presented together, they may request to do so. On request, that item will be removed from the group for an individual vote while remaining items be considered as originally presented. For example, if these are presented in groups, if you want to vote on one individual contract separately, you have the right to do that. Okay. So, item H, motion and vote to rehire or not rehire the following principals for the 2025-2026 school year: Kevin Hope, Kelly Dixon, and Hillary Morrison. I would entertain action on item H.
Move that we rehire the following principals for 25-26 school year: Kevin Ho, Kelly Dixon, Hillary Morrison. Sorry.
Is there a second?
Second.
Vote please.
Yes.
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 Item H is approved. Item I, motion and vote to rehire or not rehire the following assistant principals for the 2025-2026 school year: Scott Dock, Amber Fitzgerald, Kylie Easterwood, and Ashley Radcliffe. Entertain action on item I.
Move to rehire the following assistant principals of the 2025-2026 school year: Scott Dawson, Amber Fitzgerald, Kyle Easterwood, and Ashley Radcliffe.
Second.
Vote please.
Yes.
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 Item I is approved. Item J, motion and vote to rehire or not rehire the following transportation employee for the 2025-2026 school year: Lyndon James.
Move to rehire the transportation employee for the 2025-2026 school year: Lyndon Jennings.
Second.
Vote please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Okay. I thought you were abstaining. Item K, motion and vote to rehire or not rehire the following technology employees for the 2025-2026 school year: Dan McGuire and Mark Murray.
Move to rehire the technology employees for the 2025-2026 year. Dana McGuire, Mike Murray.
Second.
Vote please.
Yes.
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 What's it worth to you? Yes.
Yes.
Item L, motion and vote to rehire or not rehire the following child nutrition employees: Monica Wells, Amy Sparks, Regina Clark, and Susan Campbell.
Move that we rehire the following child nutrition employees: Monica Wells, Amy Sparks, Regina Clark, and Sue Ann Campbell.
Second.
Vote please.
Yes.
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 Item L is approved. Item N, motion and vote to approve appointment of an interim principal for Oologah-Talala Elementary for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year. Dr. Wilkins, your recommendation is?
Recommendation is Scott Haas for that position.
Would entertain action on item N.
I'll make a motion that we appoint the interim principal for Oologah-Talala Elementary for the remainder of the school year, Scott Doss.
Second.
2025.
Vote please.
Yes.
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 Don, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but our last item is a motion to adjourn. So,
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
vote please.
Yes.
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 How about this long?
Record show we are. Thank you very much, Mr. Sykes.